AKA Geeks.
Hey everybody, welcome to AKA Geeks and our movie of the week. I'm Sean. With us we have the great, the wonderful, the long-haired stallion.
Who's that, Brendan? He's off cam. Hey, what's up everybody? It's me, Lynn, as usual, being here with you.
And we have our number one vault boy, so they say, Mr. Brendan.
I really wanted to come back with something mean right then, but
I wanted to say arguably, but
the vault boy can. Don't worry about it.
All right, guys. So this is our group discussion of movie of the week. This week, last week, we're doing it off and on. A group week every other week. This week, we decided to watch Blade Runner. For two of us, it was our first time seeing it. Brendan and myself. Lynn has seen it, so we definitely are going to have some, I think, possibly contrasting opinions about this film.
Well, no, not contrasting.
I think so. I don't think I'm going to be in the majority here with this one.
That's fine.
So anyway, let's start it off. Lynn, since you have history with the film, I want to hear what you got to say about it, what you like about the film, and what your overall feeling is of the film.
All right, first of all, when the movie came out, I was 9 years old.
Okay.
And watching it at that age, I was just like completely blown away because the scenery and the setting is just awesome. The fact that it takes place in 2019 is a little disappointing in me now rewatching it because I'm like, I wish that was going on right now.
Where are our hover cars?
Yeah, exactly. Like I want to be Decker, I want to be the Blade Runner, but yeah, no. So I've always grown up loving this movie. There's so much deeper meaning to this movie that a lot of people tend to get because they're lost in the visuals and they don't really pay attention to a lot of the wordings and what's going on. And it's a shame for those that don't pick it up. But there's so much. It's such a meatier story than what have you. I just can't wait to see what they do when the sequel starts coming out. But this has always been one of my favorite films of all time.
That's good. That's good. What about you, Brandon? What was your first impression of this film? What did you like about it?
Okay, so I actually have to give a small disclaimer.
Uh-oh.
I was not high. Just so you know, I went into it with a clean head. But what I did, I went into it as a popcorn movie, so I turned my brain off.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, yeah, well, that makes sense.
It's not one of those movies.
No.
You have to pay attention, you gotta think, you have to, kind of imagine yourself in that situation, in the robot's, point of view, how they see things, how they would.
Yeah.
So, if you're going into a popcorn movie, you will not like it. I did not enjoy it because I turned my brain off. I am going to watch it again with my brain on,
right.
And I can already tell it's something I will enjoy.
Oh yeah, once you start to really understand what the movie was coming about and do away with the whole fact that they're, the fact of replicants, the whole premise of the film, we'll break it down when we get more into it, but there's a lot more in there than, just face value. I
definitely, so I didn't expect this, but I actually felt kind of the same way Brennan did.
Yeah.
I went into this film.
Shut your brain off.
I just went into it as a regular film and something. I wasn't going to this film expecting something like 12 Years a Slave,
right?
Or something that deep or meaningful,
or Roots for that matter, or something.
Or something
that heavy.
That heavy. Yeah. And I was thinking, okay, all right, Harrison Ford, all right, future setting, sci-fi stuff, and all right, okay, cool. And because of that, I left the film, being able to acknowledge some points in the film that I liked and enjoyed, but overall I was kind of just dissatisfied with it. But after that was said and done, I was like, you know what? I think I need to watch this again. And I almost watched it last night again. I was about to, but I almost watched it last night again just because I feel like I need to take it in again to try to catch everything all over again and really get the meaning of it.
See, Blade Runner for me is one of those movies I could watch a dozen times in a week's span. I'll play it in the background and just let it go because I know what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
And when I hear or see a certain thing, I'm like, okay, I know where they're at. That's so fucking cool. And you tend to pick up more and more, a little bit more. This last time, I purposely watched it earlier today to jot down some notes for this, and I still found more stuff that I'm like, Wow, I never really thought of thinking of it that way. It pertains to certain characters that I've never really thought of in a different light. But yeah, we'll get into it.
Well, I mean, we can get into that now. I mean, we've given our kind of our first impressions. So, what are some of those points that you're talking about? Because
all right, real quickly, let's give a synopsis of what the film's about first, so that way everybody who hasn't seen it really has a good idea. I got one written if you want.
I was just going to read off the IMDb, but if you got one,
well, yeah, it's real easy. Blade Runner came out in '82, directed by Ridley Scott. It's a story about 6 replicants down to 4 that escape. You know, originally it was 6, but two were killed, and they were 4, and they're being chased by an old cop who's being brought back into, which is a Blade Runner, who Deckard is, Harrison Ford's character, and Blade Runners have an order to shoot to kill and hunt these replicants because they've gone rogue, and most of the replicants just want to know when they were born and how long they have left. That's pretty much their primary. But we go through this throughout the whole film. But going back to certain characters, with Gaff, which is the police officer who arrests Deckard the first time you see him, Edward James Olmos' character, he when I was watching him, there's one thing I never picked up. He was always the quiet one, yeah, but towards the end when he gives Deckard the advice, about Rachel, I started to look at him differently. I started, well, maybe he's one of the replicants, and maybe that's why he didn't want Deckard to come back, because he was steady and cool in his job, and he didn't want to get shoved into that. Because why would a human cop not get rid of dispose of Rachel when he had the chance to, and I took the origami figures as a key to that, and those last words that he left in Deckard's head about Rachel, because that's key to the whole premise of the film.
What was that sentence again that he said?
He was like, it's too bad she won't live forever.
Yeah.
But then again, who does?
Mm-hmm.
In that statement, because Deckard was conflicted between the replicants, Rachel, and himself, as far as how he saw life. That statement alone, well, humans don't live forever either, but yet we're not chasing each other down and hunting ourselves down after a 4-year period. So it sort of opened that up a little bit more, it was more about respecting the life no matter how short or how long, and that's why one of the key pivotal moments at the end happens, and why Deckard doesn't, just get splattered on the pavement. And it's that appreciation of life, no matter where it is or who it belongs to. Life should be appreciated for however little you have it. And that's what Roy's decision at the end was all based on. His appreciation for life after all he's seen. Because remember, Roy, out of all the replicants, was a war soldier type replicant. Mm-hmm. He's the only one that was combat ready, hence why he always said, the things you would see with my eyes. And he gives Deckard that little bit. But yeah, there's certain key factors in that made me rethink how certain characters were, and how, I started to see Gaff not really as a human cop, sympathetic for replicants, but probably a replicant, because at the end, we get Rachel lasting longer than the 4-year period. So we don't really know if she was or a replicant or not, because, she's past that window.
Well, at the end, the voiceover, he also says that Rachel's
past the 4-year mark.
Yeah, well, and he says that Tyrell told him that she's a special replicant or whatever. He says that in the voiceover.
But you got to keep in mind, when Tyrell was talking to Roy, and when Roy and Pris finally got to him, mm-hmm. and was asking if there was a reversal process or any change that could be done to make the replicants last longer, because that's what those two were there for. He said there was nothing. They tried everything. There was no way. So that lends to believe that Rachel was not, it blurs you, because it makes you wonder, well, maybe Rachel wasn't a replicant after all. And maybe the test that Deckard gave her at the beginning to see if she was, even though Tyrell said, well, yeah, she is. I think he was blurring that line, because one key aspect in the film is Rachel asked if Deckard ever took out a human by accident. So a lot of that you have to keep into mind towards the end, why she passed that 4-year mark. why she could have failed the test and be seen as a replicant. It could be other things besides that. It's not fully acknowledged in the film per se, at least not this cut. Let's keep in mind, I think we all saw the theatrical cut that's on Netflix, and I own the director's cut.
Mm-hmm. Without the voiceover, right? That one doesn't have voiceover.
It has a lot of added on to it.
Okay.
That extends the story a little bit further. But watching the theatrical cut is pretty much what everybody else has seen or will see, so it's good to base it on that.
Yeah.
Because going into the theatrical, the director's cut is just very long-winded.
So yeah, you started seeing Gaff in a different light because possibly what he's kind of hinting at and made you think differently.
Yeah, and if you look at him, he's always looking at Deckard like with a caution. Not really with a fear of him coming back to the Force or anything like that, but really cautious about Deckard. Like he's keeping himself at arm's length.
I didn't even recognize Edward James Olmos there as Gaff. Yeah, I didn't even recognize him. Now that I think about it, his eyes, yeah. But I didn't think much of him at all until the last line, to be honest with you, where he kind of acknowledges something that we kind of see in Rachel, and also we see in Roy at the end, the last rooftop scene. So I didn't pay much attention to Gaff throughout the film.
And keep in mind, the cinematography was done so eloquently, because the whole eyes thing that you usually see with the replicants. In the scene right before Rachel and Deckard make love, and she's asking him questions, if you look, the way it's angled, Deckard's to the front and she's standing behind him. The angle lights up Deckard's eyes, so it makes you contemplate, well, is Deckard a replicant as well? Are all the Blade Runners, were they replicants, and that's why they were so good at hunting them down? It gets you, if you really pay attention, it gets you thinking like, well, what am I really watching here? Is this really human on replicant, or is this something completely different?
Replicant on replicant violence.
Yeah,
it's not approved of.
And one of the key things to look there is the different types of photographs. Where Deckard had the old-fashioned film photographs, and then
those digital printouts.
Leon had the digital printouts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, question.
Yeah.
It's kind of hot here, so my memory's not so good. Lore-wise, do they shut down after 4 years, or they get hunted and destroyed after 4 years?
If you pay attention to Roy, because that's what he was doing towards the end when his hand started cramping up and he stuck the nail through, he was starting to lock up. Basically, he was starting to go into a form of rigor mortis, so his body was shutting down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he was like, not now, and he would force it open with the screw and what have you, because he was trying to get that last spark of life going.
They were hunting them because they were on Earth, and it's illegal on Earth to be on Earth because of. He says in the beginning something happened, right?
Well, yeah. The fact is, a lot of replicants, which is the ones that Roy are specifically made, 6th gen replicants.
Nexus 6.
Yeah, Nexus 6 replicants. Those went rogue and started to attack people, and that's when they were on the outer colonies.
Yeah.
So for a replicant to be on Earth, it was frowned upon, looked upon, and that's why they were hunted down by Blade Runners.
Yeah, they set the whole movie up with the beginning. I guess you say the narrative where he talks about how they're illegal, what they did to cause this part of them being on Earth is illegal, and it sets up the movie. I think, and this is where it failed for me, where it got me in that state of mind. Like, I don't know if it's for Brandon as well. It set it up like there was a clash between them that was going to happen, and it never happened in the film. It was very minimal.
Well, see, that goes about where you're thinking, that's what you're expecting, because as we say, they're coming to Earth just to fight. But at the same time, they're not, because all they want to do is find out when they were born, because that was their key thing, and how much time they have.
So they want to find out when they're going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to know how long they have to experience they experience.
And go ahead.
I took my own spin out of it. What I got, because I kind of look at economic wise, that company was really fucking shady. Like the company that makes them,
right?
Tyrell.
Like it would be totally plausible to me that they programmed them to go rogue in order to give them that shorter lifespan, so you would be forced to buy a new one all the time. like get a new one. I looked at it like what Apple does. Apple designs their shit to break down every few years, so you have to buy a new one.
That makes sense.
That's the way I kind of got that feeling that it was not an accident. They didn't go rogue for no reason.
No, you keep in mind they stay. The reason why the replicants went rogue is they started to experience emotions on their own. Emotions they were not supposed to learn. You know,
they learn them over time.
Keep in mind. Let's use Roy as an example because he was programmed to be a soldier replicant to defend the outer colonies as they work on developing them for outside sources, but he was specifically trained. He was trained for battle. So, and then he started to build these emotions, about life and other different things. So, those are not emotions that a soldier should have.
I think they even said that it would take a really long time to build those emotions.
Yeah,
they were saying, and then the fact that it was happening within 4 years was a little odd, right?
Yeah, and the fact that and he's predetermined definitely to this class of replicants, the Nexus 6, that are key for this because all the ones that Deckard were hunting were Nexus 6. But what ends up and if you look when Tyrell talks to Roy towards the end, before his end, he tells Roy to accept that and keep it going. Like I was saying, he was telling Roy to treasure everything he's done, good or bad, to basically own up to everything and just experience life for what it's been brought to him.
Yeah, I think that's one of those scenes or moments in the movie where I can acknowledge a good moment.
Yeah.
And that was the rooftop scene is a good natural moment. I realized, I totally understood why he was not going to kill Roy. Spoilers. I mean, Rick Deckard. Yeah, Roy wasn't going to kill Rick Deckard. I understood why, at that point because of all the things he was saying. Because he had said what I've seen with my eyes, and I think 2 or 3 points in the film.
Yeah. And
so I had already got that. Oh, well, he's getting that emotion. He's already experienced a ton, and he doesn't want to lose those experiences. He doesn't want to end, but he's coming to terms with it, and he's trying to explain that to Deckard, like, you're killing us. But at the same time, we all die, like you were saying earlier. Yeah. We all have a lifespan, and people don't understand where I've been, what I've seen, and people aren't going to see this again because I'm different, and only I can see it, Right. And then when he says the whole, it's so easy to lose these things because he's like you said, it's like tears in rain. They tears get lost in the rain. Right. It's just like that was for me. That was one of those moments like, wow, that was really, really eloquent. But to me, that moment didn't match a lot of the other parts in the movie because I was getting this feeling of certain parts were very, excuse my word choice because I can't think of another word, but corny almost. It seemed like they were trying really, really hard to get that whole detective vibe, the detective vibe with the voiceover with that one day I was da-da-da and I met the da-da-da lady and it was...
Well, the thing is, if you read the book, that they're using key elements of the book and it's very, very noir. They're trying to mix that.
Yeah, that exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. They're trying to get that feeling.
Yeah, which they did. If you look, a lot of the fashion is based on, whatever futuristic styles. But if you let's look at Rachel. Rachel's character is very 1940s, 1930ish style. The big hair, the hair up like that. The big coat, yeah, and the very regal dressing that she had. She looked like she just stepped out of 1940. You know what I mean? So where you see a very futuristic LA, which a lot of it, if you look, that background alone set key elements to other films, and I'll touch on that a little bit. That she was just parallel. Her and Deckard were parallels to the world that they were living, because both him and her, they were a lot alike as far as how they were dressed, their features, their overall presentation. Deckard was not flashy. He was not futuristic. He was not, but the replicants were. Everybody that they dealt with were. Tyrell was. You know what I mean? Everybody was just like completely outside that loop. And Gaff was a little bit of mixture of both, where he had the nice cane, the little straw hat going, but at the same time he had that futuristic coat, and he had that one helmet when he was driving the car.
Yeah.
So he had a mixture of two, but these two personalities were like mirror images of each other because of their style, and I think that was intentional.
I think they did that so they can fall in love. But
Yeah.
I didn't buy them falling in love, to be honest with you. When that whole thing happened, when she walked to the door, and he stopped her and grabbed her, and I was like, okay, this is not love. This is more like rape to me.
Well, here's why.
It didn't hit me like
the reason why is because right at that scene, he's looking at her as a replicant, and she not knowing if she is or not, because remember this is after the whole piano scene. Yeah. That when she's leaving, so her emotions are all screwed up. She doesn't know who she is or what she is anymore. So he's telling her what to do because he's treating her like a replicant, like basically what Pris was, because her model was more for male entertainment or what have you. So he figures he's going to tell her what to do and get over. But in that, she still develops. If you look, when she goes right into it in the second kiss, because she's giving into her emotion. It's still that blurring of the line is if she is or isn't. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So they kept that going. I can see why you didn't really get them really falling in love.
I can get what you're saying, but even then I still don't see the love thing. Even at the end, like they leave together, and I still don't get it. I'm like, okay,
it's because
it felt like it was forced upon me. That's what I felt.
Well, the reason why is because if you look, Rachel, no matter what, doesn't really get over emotional. You see her cry, and it's very soft, it's very tender, it's very cold still. And they wanted to keep that. If you show the most emotional the replicants were Pris and Roy. Those and actually no, because Leon, when Zora gets killed, gets super emotional when he attacks Deck. Those are the times when both Roy and Leon get emotional. Was when their female opposites were killed. They completely get super emotional. But Pris, who I think was the most emotional out of them, when she was fighting Decker, her hair started spiking up, which is something you didn't see her. Her hair was
bigger.
always
It
frizzed out. It looked like she was holding on to
it was already big, but it got bigger.
No, but the thing is, Pris's hair would lay downwards. You know what I mean? Very, very 80s punk scene and new wave style. But when she was in that fight with Decker, her hair just looked like she was holding on to an electrical rod and being shocked, and it was just on ends. Which is, to me, that was to show how enraged she was and how full of emotion for a replicant she was. So she was going through these experiences all at once. And if you look back in that scene, she's extremely sweaty when she's got her legs wrapped around Decker and she's twisting his head. Pay attention to her body. Her body, like,
I was paying attention to her legs, man. I really was.
No,
her legs look good. I was like, damn, Harrison Ford, his head is right there in the perfect spot.
But her whole body is just like a soaking mess. It's because of how much she's pushing out. Yeah. So, and I think that's intentional. You're supposed to catch these little things, and those are the only hot spots of emotions. Everything else everybody had an emotion with was very soft, very subdued, very cold. And I think that's purposely. That's why you don't really see them as falling in love, because it's still very cold and, very standoffish. So you're wondering, are they really in love, or you know what I mean?
It was too fast for me. Limited interaction between the two. I felt like it was too limited for them to be like, I love you.
She saved his life.
But
and then she was following. From the moment she met him, she was following him.
And she killed Leon, or killed one of her own, if that's the way it is.
And though you only see very little interaction in this version of the film, that doesn't mean that or in the book, there's a lot more interaction going on that you're not shown. Just because we don't see it on screen, it doesn't mean it's not there.
Well, but that is an issue then, because that's this movie.
Because the perfect example is like when he calls her when he's at the bar. And he's telling her to come down and have drinks. He's trying to be social and what have you. She's like, I don't like those places. And he's like, well, I'll go where you want to go. Here's him. Instead of her chasing him, he's doing it to her. So he wants time with her. Yeah. So there is that interaction. It's just very subtle. You just got to catch it where you can get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You have any other points, Lynn?
I basically ran down. The one thing that gets... What's that?
I was asking you if you had any more points. If you had any more points you wanted to touch upon.
Oh, one of the things I wanted to touch on is Decker for Blade Runner, and supposed to be one of the best. He certainly gets handed his ass a lot in this film.
Dude, okay, let me. Okay, at the beginning of the film, they explicitly say that all these Nexus Sixes are twice as strong, twice as fast, twice as physically able, but as smart as at the most as smart as their creators.
Yeah.
Do you think that they were doing that, having his ass handed to him so badly and making him look like he's so uncoordinated with everything? Do you think they did that on purpose to try to enhance the fact that he's like the level of difference of physical capabilities is so much, or it's just bad acting, or what was that? Bad direction?
Well, I would not say I would not say bad acting when you're talking Harrison Ford.
I think story-wise it makes sense because he was out.
Well, that's where I was going to get
so
to. Exactly
like,
what
he's
Brendan
rusty
was
kind of thing.
Yeah,
He's in that he's older.
Yeah, he's a lot.
He hadn't been doing it for a while.
He's been out of the field for quite some time at this. You know.
Yeah, no, I just thought it funny. I wanted us to talk about that point. I thought it was really funny. And it was something that I took, like, is this acting? Is this direction? Is this to show the difference between the skill? Is it,
another thing that I took about that is because he didn't have that desire to kill these replicants or what have you. I also took it because if you look, like with Leon, and I'll use that as the first replicant that he runs into after killing Zora, he doesn't really want to put up a fight, and he's trying to talk to Leon. He's trying to talk Leon down, and Leon goes like, "Well, you're gonna die," and he punches the hole into the truck next to him. You know what I mean? So he's trying to back out and trying to find a different resolution. So one, he doesn't get killed, and two, he doesn't have to kill. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Blade Runner, like I said, the visuals had such impact on other films like Akira, like Johnny Mnemonic, which I brought up, I think, a couple times with you, Sean, on those different type of, the Cyberpunk / Neo Tokyo type phase. And if you look in Japan, they relish this type of scenery. Speaking
of that, and you said you want to talk about that, and we should go into it because that's a good segue right there. Is I actually really, one of the things I liked probably the most out of everything in this film was the setting. Yeah. How they used the CGI that they had in 1982 in this film. CGI. Oh, well then the models
sets,
the models that they used for it then, like the building models, the smaller 2-size models and everything. Yeah. They did a great job with that. There was only one scene, like they did such a good job with it. There was only one scene that I can see what they were using smoke as a distraction for the car to raise. They're using that was the only scene I was like, that's clearly they're using it as a distraction to get the car up because they show the car lifting off. Other than that, everything looks, but I thought it looked amazing.
But as anybody who lives in a big city knows that that type of fumes do come out of sewer, to release the heat, the steam that's coming out from underneath. So
no, but it was shooting out of the car vents. Yeah, it was shooting out of the car vents.
On top of the car vents, you also had, if you pay attention to the sewer manhole covers behind it, you had smoke rising from them as well.
That was the only scene where I was like, okay, they probably have something there behind it, lifting, doing the lift, and that was the only part. But everything else, watching this film, the setting I thought was amazing. I fell in love with the setting. That Tyrell Corporation building, I thought that looked beautiful, man. I thought that thing looked beautiful.
Well, what I was thinking, because I know I mentioned earlier that it was I turned my brain off, even though I knew I would like it. The whole time I was thinking, I was like, man, this actually gets me kind of excited for the new one, where it's going to look, because those kind of movies, you could see what they were going for. Mm-hmm. Like the best CGI movies you see now, that's what it was. So if you have that vision with what you have now, it's going to be, it's either one of two. It's going to be really, really bad, or it's going to be really, really good. I don't think there's going to be an in-between.
Yeah. They could go so far that they mess it up and make it really bad.
Yeah, that's my worry. The fact that since everybody, that's why I appreciate J.J. Abrams with Force Awakens. He had a mixture of CG as well as old school, visual practical effects, and where Blade Runner was all practical effects. So even if you look at the gun, the little lights on Decker's gun.
That gun.
It's a Fallout thing.
I love that noise. I friggin' love that noise.
Yeah.
But anyway, bring it back to the movie.
Setting.
you know, it's. I'm worried that if they don't do a mixture of the two evenly, it's going to take away from it. You know what I mean? I think whoever's in line, and I don't know who it is, to do it needs to do a mixture of both CG and practical effects.
Now, did they say it was going to be a remake or a sequel?
I believe it's supposed to be a sequel because I believe Harrison Ford is tacked on to
Harrison
do it.
Ford
to reclaim Deckard
I think,
again.
tentatively right now tagged to it right now.
Yeah.
So I think he's.
Okay, so he's got another freaking Indiana Jones that they're going to work on. They got another Blade Runner. I hope he doesn't off before he finishes.
Stop talking like that. Jesus Christ.
And now on IMDb he's listed as Rick Deckard, so it looks like it's going to probably be a sequel because he's redoing his character. He's
well, yeah, it was obvious he was doing Deckard again.
I would rather have a new Blade Runner than a new Indiana Jones, though.
The Blade Runner project is supposed to come out next year.
Who's directing?
It's
2017.
It's in pre-production right now.
Yeah,
the director is Denis Villeneuve. I hope I got that right. The writers are Philip K. Dick, based on the novel by Ridley Scott, and then there's 3 more writers attached to it. I'm trying to see who they are. Hampton Fancher and Michael Green, on top of Ridley K. Scott. So those are the 3 on, Philip K. Dick and Ridley Scott.
What's the director done?
Best known for, I will read you his titles right now: Incendies,
He's
Prisoners, Sicario, Enemy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's new. He did Sicario and Prisoners was that one with
Jackman,
Jake Gyllenhaal and
Hugh Jackman.
Okay, that movie was pretty good.
Okay, good to know.
I enjoyed that.
He actually has, so far from what he's done, he actually has a good little lineup of stuff he's done, actually.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to look him up.
Especially recently, a lot of people consider Sicario one of the best movies of last year.
Yeah, supposedly Ryan Gosling's on this, Robin Wright, Ana de Armas, Dave Bautista, and Sylvia Hoeks. So the release date they have scheduled is for October 2017, October 6th. So we'll see.
You think they'll show something at Comic-Con?
I think they've started. It says they're still pre-production, but
it says it's really still on pre-production. But since they're close, I won't be seeing. They probably got like a teaser. I could see them working up a teaser for it, but I don't think nothing major. They could do like a couple
synopsis or something,
or set designs that they've a teaser showing like the city or what have you.
I really liked. I thought it was cool how it was happening in the movie. The movie was happening at around this year.
Oh, so one of the
couple years future.
One of the things that got me is like Deckard has a tendency of letting the replicants know he's coming. Did you notice that? And the perfect example, when he calls JF's house and says he's a friend, and Pris just hangs up on him. Now Pris has already spent like 1 or 2 nights, and she knows that the only friends that JF had were the toys he made. Those were the only friends he had. So here's this strange guy saying, "Hey, look, I'm an old friend of his." Yeah, motherfucker, please. That I think they used to show how out of the loop he really was in doing what he was doing, because he could not keep his mind up. Like when he goes to confront Zora, and he's pretending to be,
the writer.
Yeah, no, he's pretending that he's from a place to make sure that she's.
The rights.
Yeah, the woman's right thing, and he's like, "I'm looking for holes." Zora, come on. Once she was the assassin of the group, and she's not gonna know that this guy's full of shit.
And then she just ran away.
Well, that's because she wanted to choke him out, and the only reason she ran away is because the other girls started coming into the locker room. And so she didn't want to give up who she was right then and there.
Yeah.
So, but even with Zora's death, he still felt bad because of the fact that he shot her at the back, but he turned his mind and his attention towards Rachel because he was wondering if he was going to have to do that to her. Yeah, he was definitely out of the loop in this film, and I think that was done purposefully.
Yeah, because like when he said he was from that place, his acting went really, really bad. Like it was not well done, but that was obviously on purpose.
Yeah, his impersonation was a terrible impersonation.
Well, not only that, he did like 2 or 3 voices in there.
Yeah, didn't he change where he was from? Like what
twice he changed his where he was coming from, but at the end he stuck with that whole women's right lib, where he was looking for holes, make sure she was not being told to do stuff that she was uncomfortable with doing.
No glory holes or nobody peeking.
Yeah, but the thing is that the changes in voices, and
he tried to do that high pitch thing, like
exactly. That was the first one, and then he tried to bring it down a little bit.
Yeah. That was hard to watch right there.
You had to know that he has not done this in quite some time.
I think if I watch it again, like I want to, having a discussion about it definitely helps to digest some of it, to go back into it and open my mind to it in a different way, because like Brendan said, I felt like I was going into it this way and it totally took a right turn somewhere, and I was like not prepared for that at all, and that's why it was like, oh gosh, this is weird, but I still think there was some good parts in it, you know.
It's definitely a thinking movie.
So we talked a little bit about the sequel that's coming up. Do you guys have any things that you would like to see from the sequel coming up? Anything that, like, would you like them to duplicate, replicate, replicate? Anything that you like them to kind of lean on? Like, in this sense, now we're talking about this age where we're talking about the setting of how our CGI, our technology, we can make that look amazing. But also, should they still try to keep that definite thinking man's movie?
Yeah, no,
or transition over to an action film.
If they're using the writing, you know,
the story from there's the book and then the story from Ridley Scott.
Yeah, if they keep to Ridley Scott's story, they have to keep it a thinking, because it has to have you really get it. It's a way I think Ridley Scott did this on purpose, because he wants you to self-analyze yourself and your life and what you come out of it. And with this film, he does it in a way that makes you like, do you feel for the replicants? Do you feel for the Blade Runner that's hunting them down? So you're always on nerve, like, who should I be like really going for? Because the replicants are never really shown as being truly evil or bad.
No.
You're being told that they are by the racist cop.
Or they have possibilities of being bad because they're double your strength and.
Well, but the thing is, the only one that really says they're bad news is the racist cop.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. Other than that, even Terrell said, there's possibilities, but that's why we always had these fail safes and what have you. But overall, he never really says, they're all out bad people. And if you get, like Brendan was saying, if you think of it from the replicant side, I'm just looking to see when I was born, how much time I have left.
That's terrifying. That's terrifying.
Because it's one of the reasons why Roy keeps mentioning me. Both Roy and Leon said, it's weird to be living in fear, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they were trying to show Deckard what they were going through.
The only thing is that Roy, I don't think he ever intended to kill Deckard.
Well, no, but he still killed.
Yeah, well, yeah, he killed the what's his name?
JF.
Yeah,
Terrell.
Yeah, but
though you don't see JF's death, you are told about it through the radio, the police radio.
Yeah, but I don't think. See, Leon wanted to kill Deckard because of the emotion.
Yeah.
The emotion of Zora dying, and he was actually going to try to kill him. But even though, and this is what kind of I think separates Roy from the other ones. About him being, he seemed like the most advanced one out of all of them throughout the movie.
Right.
He was the leader of them, And what I think helped separate it is at the end of that battle, whatever, the scene on the roof, when you see what he decides to do, you kind of think about it, like, I don't think he ever meant to kill him. He was doing exactly like we were saying, to show him how that it's not a great way to live your life in fear all the time. This is how we live, and just to show him and open his mind. And I don't think he ever meant to kill him, which I was kind of, when watching that chase scene, like I was like, why is he prolonging this? Why doesn't he just kill him?
Well, if you think about it, not only that, it's like when he has the white dove, the white pigeon in his hand, you're like wondering why the hell is he carrying a white pigeon with him?
Yeah,
I mean, he makes that leap with the pigeon in one-handed, and you're like, what, is he going to crush this thing over Deckard's head or what have you? You really have, but at the same time, that's a sign of peace for himself.
Yeah.
Because he's starting to say, well, I'm teaching this guy what we go through on a daily basis. And his death scene is perfect for him. And I've loved Rutger Hauer since that film. And if you want to see him in a different aspect where he's really an asshole, Watch Nighthawks with Sylvester Stallone and Billy Dee
Easy.
Williams. I love Nighthawks. I remember seeing that when it came out in a drive-in because my parents took me to see this because I liked Rutger Hauer, and I've always been so disappointed because I thought he would always have been the most perfect Magneto there could have ever been for an X-Men film. Because Rutger Hauer could play that tortured soul that wants to just do good for his people, but at the same time not take anybody's shit.
When he just do a quick refresher before I make my point. When he killed JF, what were they talking about?
No, they killed him when they killed JF. It was off screen, and this was after he killed Terrell. Right. And he does the chest move.
That's what I meant. That kill.
Well, okay, the conversation that Terrell has with Roy, this is what put him on edge because here's his creator telling him to enjoy every bit of your life that you've experienced, to own up to it, to just live it as it comes to you. And Roy is one of those conflicted characters where he's been at war for most of his short replicant life, and he's trying to move away from that. And here's this guy, his creator, his maker, telling him, just live the way you've been living up to the end.
Okay, perfect. So that does I get to make my point. What I got out of I never saw him as evil at all.
Yeah.
In being, though, most of the kills, would be a natural human response. Like if he was an army guy, he came back from the war, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, you have cancer. You have this how long this cancer has to kill you. And you go to the doctor says, I could tell you, but just live your life.
I'm the one that created the cancer, but I'm not going to help you.
and I'd be like, the fuck did you say? And then when Zora gets killed, like, it freaked him out. If somebody murdered your girlfriend or, your significant or your best friend, you're going to be pissed.
Yeah, Leon, definitely.
Yeah, you're going to piss off.
Yeah, but if you notice, like, when Pris does get killed and Roy says he's going to count to 2 to come after Decker, but he's counting to 4 and on.
Yeah, he keeps counting.
He's purposely counting because he wants that moment with Pris.
He was sitting on the chair, right?
Well, he was laying above her her wound, and he was rubbing his fingers to her and bringing her blood to his face. And that was more to feel her, and that's what I mean about. That's where you saw them more emotional when it came to either death of one of their own, or that's where they really cut loose. And from that moment on, like Brendan said, that's where Roy was just like completely on full hunter mode. Here's a replicant chasing the hunter of replicants.
It would cause anybody to snap.
Yeah, and hence why he was like, "Oh, come on! It's just here's one finger for Zora, one for Pris." He didn't do any for Leon because Leon wasn't killed by him. How he knew that, no idea. It was still his gun.
He was watching. He was there the whole time, overseeing it all.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that you are given that impression that he was aware of what was going on.
It's interesting. Roy, now that we've been talking about it now for a little while, I definitely think that I see the evolution of Roy. Mm-hmm. I still didn't, like Brendan said, I didn't see any necessary evils within most of the.
You're not meant to.
Yeah, and the only part that I saw was Leon when he killed the guy at the beginning. That's about the most evil thing I saw. Other than that, I was like,
let's break that scene down. Why that happened? If you think about it, here's this guy who was implanted into the Terrell Corporation, and obviously he's there to find out the replicants' date of birth and things like that, how much they have left. But automatically, he's being summoned to this dork of a guy and given a test he's never had before. But yet you see that he's been there long enough that he's had a psychology test earlier on. And then you go and he starts talking about, well, talk to me about your mother. Now, I'm going to talk to some strange guy about my mother?
Yeah.
I'd want to
tell you about my mother.
Exactly. So, but what I'm saying right there is another show of exaggerated emotion coming from the replicant.
Yeah, well, I was just using that point as, like, that's the only thing from the replicants at that moment, that I could think of in the movie that seemed like, oh, that was a bad thing. Everything else, it was just that they're being chased because of their circumstance. They're trying to be killed because of their circumstance, and it's not because they are inherently evil for any reason. It's just because of something that happened a long time ago with the Nexus 6s, and now they're illegal there, so you have to take them out.
Yeah.
And now they're there illegally, you got to take them out. And they're only there trying to figure out something that's best for them.
See, I don't even look at that death as a bad thing. I look at it, he did it on self-preservation.
Yeah, but the guy wasn't going to kill him. I mean, they're gonna find out he's a replicant at a certain point in the questioning. But I mean, do you think that guy was judge, jury, and executioner? Is what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. You
guys think so? He'd pull out a gun.
He was waiting for it. It did make me want to get the director's cut, though.
Yeah.
I definitely would like to see it, sometime. But I want to watch this one again, and then dive into that, because when somebody makes a movie, it's tough to make a director's cut after you put a movie in theater, because you have who's saying what version of the movie was supposed to be the version that you...
Ridley Scott?
Yeah, but but you also have studios. You have this person saying this person saying this. He said, she said, this version's the best version. This person's the right version you're supposed to watch. And there's a bunch of chatter about it. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's difficult to understand.
If you're looking at like a George Lucas thing, yes, he is wrong. He is wrong about what version is best. Okay, I see you shaking your head, but he's wrong.
Because I'm in full disagreement that, fans do not own this franchise. I'm sorry. I grew up with the franchise, and I don't claim to own it. You know what I mean?
Not my point to own it, but
the point is,
he should take away...
You don't take away the creator's rights into what he feels it should be, what his creations. Point blank. He created that universe. You can't sit there, come off the couch and say, no, you're wrong in what you created. What? Fuck you.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you should not. You can't say this is what it is now. You can't even look at that old shit.
No, I agree with that. I think
that's what I was trying to say.
There has to be a parallel. Yeah, those existed. Period. That's how they were. But because he didn't have the technology, he felt like, no. Well, I want to rework it and make it into the perfect image that I always intended them to be. And if you look back at the history, when I'll show you, I still have the VHS of the making of the original trilogies, and he's always had this in the back of his mind. It's just the technology was never there for him to do that. Hence why a lot of scenes were not done the way they were done, or a lot of scenes were left on the cutting room floor, because he wasn't able to, put it up what he felt would look nice up on the screen. And then when he went back and did these re-releases, he felt, now's the time I can do it. And everybody chastised him like, you're fucking up my childhood. My childhood was not ruined, because I grew up with the original trilogies. I still have the original trilogies. I have the new ones. But on top of that, I can understand where the creator of this wanted to actually make it what he believed was the end-all, be-all of his creation.
There is a slight difference between comparing what George Lucas and, let's say, the drama in that whole aspect. There's a little difference between that and Blade Runner, I think.
Oh, no, there is. Definitely.
Because, like you said, he's the creator. He invented that universe. He created it. He wrote it. And that's his baby. Or it was his baby until he sold it.
Yeah.
But Blade Runner, it's based on a book. It states that clearly in the credits. And the story's by Ridley Scott. And then you also have a production company overseeing it as well. So you have three different main inputs. You know what I mean? It's kind of a little different than the Star Wars. What I mean by that is what I was trying to say is that let's say there's three opinions, and you have the theatrical cut, which is the first cut that came out. In the case of George Lucas, like you're saying, behind the scenes he could have said, yeah, you know what, this is as much as we can do, but I really want to add this in at some point whenever we can, Yeah. But
because you want to know how many different versions there are of the film?
I think there's five different, seven different of a Blade Runner.
Yeah, there was a working print version. There's a San Diego sneak preview. Then the actual U.S. release, international release, the U.S. broadcast version that was aired on ABC back when ABC had the Sunday night films. Then there's the director's cut, and then the final cut. Those are the 7 working copies of Blade Runner there are.
So that's what I mean. So which one? Okay, yeah, it's the final cut, but the final cut before the final cut was the director's cut. The final cut before the director's cut was the. You know what I mean? You get what I'm trying to get at? Is there so many opinions that it can go?
But the thing is,
different ways.
You know, all 5 versions are included in a 5-disc Ultimate Collector's Edition that they put out. And I wanted this thing badly because it came with one of the police cars.
Okay.
And it came out in 2007. But if you look, there's a documentary called Dangerous Days, which is the making of Blade Runner.
Okay.
Which is a reference to director Ridley Scott presenting a nearly 4-hour-long early cut that was shown only to studio personnel.
Now, where is that Dangerous Days behind-the-scenes documentary located? Is it on Netflix? Because that would be a good follow-up.
Probably not, but it never hurts to find out just in case.
Dangerous Days, right?
Yeah.
All right,
Dangerous
guys.
Days,
That's your homework.
The making of Blade Runner.
That's your homework.
I'm pretty sure I can find one.
Well, let's get into some of the final thoughts on this, because we've definitely worked in some really good points and thoughts and possibilities of this film so far. Brendan, what are your final thoughts about the film? What was everything combined? What was your final thoughts?
It's good, especially for the time. It still looks amazing. I will definitely give it that. It still looks really, really good, which definitely goes back to our point about practical effects. Mm-hmm. That if it was like CGI, it would look comparably bad to now CGI. So if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. But go into it knowing you're going to have to pay attention. You're going to be thinking a lot about a lot of stuff. And don't expect nonstop action.
What about you, Lynn? What are your final thoughts about this?
My final thoughts when it comes to Blade Runner is what it's always been. It's one of them. It's near and dear to my heart. It's up there with so many other, classic sci-fi stories that I just cannot recommend this movie enough. I'm glad you guys got to see it your first time, even though you saw it the way you saw it, but it's giving you guys wanting to see it more and get more meaning out of it. So it did its purpose. So for that I'm happy, and that just means more power to you guys for doing it.
Yeah, that's good. I definitely feel like I needed this discussion, this movie, this discussion after watching it this first time to help me kind of get some different opinions about it. So if I go back into it again, which I would like to, I can maybe take it a different way. And not saying I'm going to follow what we've all discussed here word by word, but it'll definitely open my mind to looking at different things in the scenes, different dialogue, different tones. So I definitely like that. Brendan, echoing what he said, I definitely love the setting, the visual effects, which is just practical stuff, all models and sets. Yep. Amazing. Looking forward to seeing how they can do the I guess this next Blade Runner. I really enjoyed it, and it's on Netflix right now, you guys. So go ahead and go stream this, go watch it.
You got till the 15th, I think, is when they're going to pull it off in May.
Yeah,
so you got till the 15th or 16th.
Yeah, and based on Lynn's recommendations, your guys' movie of the week homework is to go watch Dangerous Dogs. All right, Dangerous Dogs or Days?
Dangerous Days.
I'm sorry, Dangerous Days. So go watch that, and I think just based on it being a behind the scenes happening at that time, I bet it gives a lot of insight to what some of these questions that we have are.
One last note: the director's cut, though, was not done by Ridley Scott. It was authorized through him, was approved by him, I should say. But the final cut is him going back into the chair and releasing it solely directly in charge. He's the only one who touched it. So going back to that conversation, say that there were a lot of things involved. The only one that was not, had anything to do with him, you could say, was actually the broadcast version, which that was just editing out the nudity and cutting it down because it was on CBS back in the day.
With all that, you guys, definitely, everybody who's watching this, please let us know if you have any suggestions for any movies of the week, future movies of the week, that we should check out. Again, I'll be doing one next week, and then hopefully in about 2 weeks, we'll be doing another group discussion, hopefully about another badass movie that we can give you our opinions on. Remember to click on the like, share, subscribe buttons on our iTunes page for the podcast, our YouTube page, our Twitter, our Twitch, our Facebook, all of the other things that we do not have yet, Foursquare, 4chan, Instagram, everything.
Why would we need Foursquare?
I don't know.
That will never be on 4chan.
I'm going to start a Yelp account with us, you guys, so...
Well, considering most of your friends are the ones doing the likes, I mean...
So for me, you guys, let's give them a goodbyes. Lynn?
All right, guys, until next time. Catch you on the dark side.
Brandon.
Watch the damn movie, fools.
And you guys, I'm Sean. Remember to check us out on all our personal stuff as well. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
AKA Geeks.